Does GHK copper activate stem cells? Now this is interesting because one of the hallmarks of aging is stem cell exhaustion. You've got another one called loss of nutrient signaling or nutrient sensing. You've also got loss of proteostasis in these 12 major hallmarks of aging. So in this video, what I'll describe is that perhaps GHK copper might be secretly turning on signals for stem cells without you ever injecting a single stem cell into your body. And so have you ever wondered why some people's skin looks 10 years younger and other people look like they've accelerated their aging process? Well, GHK copper may contain some of the insights of what the breakdown is that happens in the skin, and then also how cleaning up the DNA leads to better expressions, which in turn leads to less stem cell exhaustion. So in this video, you'll know by the end exactly how GHK copper flips on the regenerative switch and how it interacts with stem cells. So let's jump in. So first of all, GHK copper, if you look at some of the studies, many of the studies have done it both on humans and mice. This one was done in 2016 and it's called the tripeptide GHK copper complex ameliorates the lipopolysaccharide-induced acute lung injury in mice. Now what they wanted to see is, does the ability for GHK copper before the LPS or the lipopolysaccharide exposure, does it help lower the inflammatory cytokines, tumor necrosis factor alpha, IL-6? Does it lower the oxidative stress markers and help with lung tissue damage? So if you're new to peptides, GHK copper is a small amino acid chain, just 3 amino acids, and it's got a copper molecule attached to it. And the fascinating thing about this study is, yes, they looked at the mice that were exposed without GHK copper compared to the GHK copper treated group. So it had a control group and a placebo group. And the conclusion, GHK copper significantly suppressed tumor necrosis factor alpha, IL-6, NF-kappa beta activation, and lowered oxidative stress while promoting antioxidant defenses through the SOD or superoxide dismutase pathways, demonstrates quiets inflammation and lowers that inflammatory signaling pathway through modulation rather than just crude suppression. So it's a fascinating peptide. And yes, there's a lot of hype around GHK copper. I don't see it living up to the hype that's out there, but I do think it's a molecule that's very worthy of deeper exploration and even trying cycles of it, and especially as you use it topically, making sure that you get it from a very reputable source. This is where Ageless Future, we've helped over 70,000 patients over the last 21 years. And we've been in peptides for about a decade, over a decade now. And what we find is that not all peptides are created equal. GHK copper is one of those that has several knockoffs. And so you want to be careful where you're getting it from. So let's talk about the 3 major things that you can think through this lens of stem cells. So what are stem cells? Stem cells are these primordial cells that don't yet have a behavior associated with them. So they have not taken on a specific lineage. In the human body, you've got 220 different types of cells. Each one of these cells have a very different and distinct expression. So you have cells that are very well designed for skin and skin health. You have cells for your liver, you have cells for your heart, you have cells for your brain, you have cells for your hair. And as long as these cells are turning over, because cells do have a lifespan, some cells live far longer than others, like your red blood cells, that's a 90-day life cycle. Like your stomach cells, though, they have maybe 2 to 3 days and then they're being replenished. And so lots of new cells are coming in. Your small intestine, which has this reservoir of signaling cells called CD34, these are really important because what happens is when you have proper stem cell signaling, now your body can regenerate itself so that when you have a attrition rate of certain cells, like just watching this video, you're going to lose millions of cells hopefully not all your brain cells, but millions of cells, and it's the stem cells that replenish these cells that are being lost. So can GHK copper actually help improve it? Well, here's an interesting study. Once again, it was done with mice where these mice had an ACL injury. They wanted to see if injecting GHK copper would actually cause an induction of stem cells and a faster regeneration in the knees. Their hypothesis was that if GHK copper downregulates tumor necrosis factor alpha, IL-6, then the body would actually promote and produce more stem cells. And what they found is after that injection of GHK copper, they looked at the mice who just had saline injection versus the GHK copper. The ones with GHK copper had far greater levels of expression of stem cells, leading to regeneration in those ligaments that were damaged. So think of GHK copper as doing two things. It turns on hundreds of genes that relate to collagen production, which our ligaments, our tendons are made of. Collagen is one of the major matrices that is in there. The other thing that they found is that those mice had a faster recovery time than the mice that just had saline. So the good news on this study is if your pet mouse actually tears its ACL or damages it in any way, GHK copper might be really helpful. Once again, GHK copper, this is research. I don't have any studies that show in human models what they've done with an ACL. There is one study that came out of Korea where they found that GHK copper from patients who had had stem cell injections, they found that by following up in subsequent visits with injections of GHK copper, there seemed to be more proliferation and better aggregation of stem cells into that articulation, leading to better regeneration. So we're looking at this. Where would you want to be careful with GHK copper, whether you're using it topically or as an injection? Well, number one, you want to consider the fact that this might sting. The buffering agents in GHK copper makes the pH more acidic. And so you want to make sure that you don't have any immune rejection or immune activity that could lead to anaphylaxis. So be very careful. This is where using some of these RUO or research use only peptides are not for human consumption. There's a reason why the label says that, and this is where getting GHK copper through a compounding pharmacy, you can do it as a foam, as a topical agent, can be really helpful, and especially if you've done stem cells. My regenerative medicine team does a lot of stem cells from umbilical cord tissue, and that umbilical cord tissue, you can put GHK copper topically on there, and we do seem to see greater effects. Once again, this is anecdotal. We don't have any clinical studies to back that up. But the areas where you run into danger outside of using GHK copper from a non-compounding pharmacy source, or the other thing is if you have Wilson syndrome where your body aggregates and accumulates excess levels of copper, that can lead to massive levels of fatigue. It can actually impact your neurological system, leading to tremors, and it can completely ameliorate any kind of energy and vitality. Once again, ruling these things out or anything else that would increase copper, if you do have like a copper IUD or anything of that nature, you do want to be careful with this peptide. So GHK copper, how does it promote stem cells? Well, first of all, it influences the cell signaling, and that stem cell signaling improves the turnover pathways. So you get that replication of the cells that are dying. So it's almost like, it's not like adding in new workers. All it does is improves the training manual so those stem cells come in and they can do their job, especially when you activate the genes related to collagen and elastin. It's amazing. So the other thing it does is it turns on the lights so that you have better stem cell markers. It's not forcing the cells down a particular lineage. So one of the things that GHK copper has been shown to increase are the expression of stem cell associated markers, specifically the integrins and the P63 genes that are linked to regenerative medicine conversions. So the third thing is GHK copper needs an environment for these progenitor stem cells to start to differentiate and get these differentiating signals in the local tissue environment. And so this is like if you plant a seed in soil that doesn't have nutrients, you're not going to get very good growth. But if you have the soil that's prepared, you plant the seed, everything gets better. And this is the crux of using GHK copper properly, making sure you plant the right seeds, making sure the environment is correct. And if you want to go deeper and actually figure out what could be interfering with your body's ability to utilize GHK copper properly, all you need to do is go to agelessfuture.com, schedule a free introduction call with the health ascension specialist on my team, and they'll help you get with a provider, get the right testing done, and help you feel, look, and perform your best no matter what age you are. I'm Regan Archibald. Appreciate you being here. I'll see you on the next video.